Hello my friends, and welcome back to Ration Nerd. I recently received an email asking me why I was so fucking happy every time I got on here to film a video. And at first, I didn't quite know how to answer it. And then I was like, so I just kind of responded. I was like, because nobody wants to watch a grumpy, boring motherfucker do a ration review. Like, it's a goofy enough hobby as it is. So I don't even think about sitting down at this table to film these ration reviews unless I'm in the right fucking mindset. So there's no sense in me getting on here being like Grumpy McGrumpy Pants and doing a ration review. Nobody wants to see that shit. You always wait until you're in a good mood before you get behind the camera, because that's just fucking common sense. And keeping with the common sense theme, let me tell you guys that if you are absolutely interested in supporting this channel and potentially winning yourself a free ration, which just happens to be sitting over yonder, which is just absolutely bitchin'. Menu number 2 from South Korea. I've already reviewed this ration. You can check it out on the channel. This son of a bitch is actually full of really good food if you discount the kimchi. This is a bangin' ration. It's still in date. I'm going to give it away to one of you who join at the $5 level on my Patreon page. This ration could absolutely be yours. As of today, you have a 1 in 11 chance. If you're the 11th person to sign up for my Patreon, you have a 1 in 11 chance of getting this ration. That's somewhere around 10-ish%. I'm not a mathematician, but it falls in that range somewhere, which is pretty awesome. You should probably consider joining some Patreon so you could have a chance of getting this ration and all the other bitchin' rations I'm going to be giving away in the future, because I have a ton of them and never going to get to eating all of them before they go completely rancid. So I'm going to share my bounty with y'all if you join me on Patreon. And even if you don't join me on Patreon, you know what you could do to help me support this goofy ass hobby? You could totally hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, and you could always ding talk to me in the chat. I don't know why that was over the top today, but I just kind of felt like it. So today we are cracking into a brand spanking new Spanish ration. Hopefully there's no squid in here waiting to assault my face. I did translate the front of this, but there's no menu info on here. It just simply says that it's dinner menu number 2 and that a portion of this ration is freeze dried. That's pretty cool. I've never had anything, to my knowledge, from Jamipsa that was freeze dried. So this ought to be a good time. We're absolutely going to crack into it. We're going to have fun together checking out this brand spanking new NATO approved Spanish ration. Menu number 2, dinner time. Did I happen to mention this was brand spanking new? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty goddamn excited about it. So without any further ado, let's check it out. We do have some nice little tear notches here. This thing is coming in at right under 1 pound. This thing is pretty light, so it makes sense with a freeze-dried menu. Kind of went a little janky on the bag sealing there, but that's completely okay. 2 seals are better than 1. It's always great to have a nice seal on your ration. So let's get this tear notch out. Oh yeah. Tear that right open. That was kind of sexy. Oh, and before I proceed, do you want to know where I got this ration? I bet you do. I got it from my good friend who has an awesome store on eBay where he has tons of fucking rations that are absolutely cool. He still has some really cool rations up on his eBay page right now. You really got to consider checking him out. I will put his name right up here for you. There is also a clickable link in the description of this video that you can click on, go right to his eBay store, and get you some badass rations from a guy who's just a normal guy like you and me, and just happens to enjoy rations and have some really cool hookups to get them. Now let's get into this Spanish single meal freeze-dried ration. Menu number 2. All right, right out of the gate, we have an isotonic beverage, lemon flavored. This is really not my favorite Jamipsa product. I'm not crazy about this lemon flavored isotonic beverage that they make at Jamipsa for the Spanish military, but maybe they changed the formula in this recent edition of the ration. Let's hope so, because that shit is normally kind of nasty, but we'll just keep it moving here. Then we have your traditional pack of Spanish butt wipe. This is 10 butt wipes in there. That's what that says right there. If you translate that, it comes up to 10 ass wipers. That's exactly what that says in Spanish. Pretty cool. Toilet paper is always good. You can wipe your nose, you can wipe your face, and you can wipe your butt, because everybody needs to wipe your butt. This could definitely be good for a booger. If it were me, though, I just kind of snot rocket those boogers right out and just wipe it with my sleeve and save that for my butt, because I'd much rather have a booger on my nose than I would shit on my ass. That is just the truth. I'm saving every last one of those for this ass. That is completely the way I would do it. What do we have here? We have some adventure food, chocolate mousse. How bitchin' is that? We get a dessert. That's awesome. So we get a little freeze-dried chocolate mousse action. Looks like they outsourced this to adventure food. That's kind of cool. It's not Jamipsa branded. Maybe it's really good. Maybe it's trash. We're going to add some water and we're absolutely going to find out. Well, what we have here is something that the translator is really struggling with because the can is dark. I happen to love the OD green on the Spanish cans. They're badass, but it's having a hard time translating this properly. This says fruit cocktail and then it says dry roots over here. We're just going to have to crack into this and figure it out. Maybe it is a mix of dried fruit and nuts. Maybe it's just nuts. Maybe it's just dried fruit. Won't know till we crack into it. That's pretty cool. Has a nice vacuum seal on the top. Not sure that was the best idea. I think a pool ring lid probably would have been better, but this certainly is a cute little can. I might be keeping that for something just because it's really cool. But we have an undisclosed can of some either nuts and fruit mix or maybe just dried fruit. We'll figure that out in a minute. Hey, there we go. And then we have a couple of biscuits, a couple of salted biscuits even. Not too shabby. Do love me some Jamipsa biscuits. These weren't packed with the Jamipsa magic wrapper, but they did manage to get here completely intact, which is absolutely awesome. So we got two healthy little biscuits there. Then we have an awesome little energy bar that is fruit flavored with, well, of course, high energy and amino acids, which is really cool. That's coming in at 40 grams. That feels kind of squishy. I'm really looking forward to that. That is a new item I've never seen in a Spanish ration. I've never had. Sounds really good. We're going to find out. Oh, look at that. We have another pack of biscuits, just because like the rations like to make fun of me. We have another pack of salted biscuits, which is pretty cool. And another beverage base lemon, because, you know, can never get enough of those nasty things. Then we have some hand sanitizer to clean up your dirty dick beaters before you have your meal, or maybe even afterwards. I would recommend before, because if you were wiping the butt somehow before, yeah, you get it. Wash your dirty dick beaters is all I'm trying to say. And we have a couple of water purification tablets. Each one of these is going to be good for 1 liter of water, which is pretty badass. Water purification tablets are probably one of the smartest additions to any ration, and quite honestly, they weigh nothing, so there's absolutely no reason not to include them in any modern ration. You never know when your water supply is going to be depleted, especially in a ration like this with freeze-dried components. You're going to need as much clean, drinkable, potable water as you can possibly get. Every country should be putting at least a couple of water purification tablets in their ration to take care of their guys. If they're not, they kind of suck. Then we have another one of these cute little cans. It is labeled the same, so it's certainly not translating it. Either nuts or fruit, or maybe a mix of both, but that is a repeat item. That is a second little can of what hopefully will be some dried goodness or some nutty goodness. And we have a single piece of chewing gum, not too shabby. Then it looks like we have a freeze-dried package of beef goulash, which is pretty cool. It's kind of funny, when I first yanked this out of the ration bag, I really thought this was another dessert item. The bright colors on this just kind of made it pop at first, and I thought this was going to be fruit. Fortunately, we've got some goulash. I've never even had freeze-dried goulash, so this is a check that out. Now we have 600 calories of freeze-dried beef goulash. It's pretty funny. When I first took this out of the bag, I paused for a second. Really thought this was like another dessert item. I thought maybe this was like apples and pears or something up here. Kind of crazy. That ought to be pretty decent. We're going to have to hydrate all this before we make that determination, but we've got some beef goulash. 600 calories worth. And that is everything out of the bag. So this is everything contained in a new production freeze-dried Spanish ration. This is a single meal. This ought to be a great time. We've got some new components that I've never had, either from Adventure Food or from Jamipsa. These are really cool items. Really looking forward to getting into them. I'm going to get all this nonsense out onto a tray, and you know how this shit goes. All right, welcome back to dinner. I'm fucking starving Marvin. I haven't eaten anything all day, so this is my dinner. Fortunately, this is a dinner menu. And as I was going to boil some water and set this up, I was really thinking to myself, I really hope this Adventure Food brand doesn't just kind of like cause this Spanish ration to fall on its face. I've never had this brand before. Hopefully it's pretty decent. But all that aside, let's start getting this shit assembled. We're going to go with one of these lemon drinks. Just because I'm not that crazy about them doesn't mean I'm not going to mix it up for some dinner time drinking. Smells about the same as it always has. I'm still crossing my fingers, hoping that they change the formula on that. And as always, I'm going to add way too much water to that because I am not fond of the taste of this stuff or the greasy mouthfeel from this isotonic beverage. And there was no utensil with this ration, so we're definitely going to need to pick something out of our bucket o' fun over here. You know what? we're just going to play for the home team today. This looks kind of clean. This is a US MRE spoon. If you didn't know, probably one of the better MRE spoons on the planet. That's the one thing that US MREs have going for them. It is a great spoon. The rest of that shit, kind of questionable. Spoon's really rocking though. Let's stir this drink up and see if we can get the greasy mouthfeel out of this shit. And before I open anything else, we're going to get these main items hydrating. We're going to start with that beef goulash action. That doesn't look very appetizing. Fortunately, we saw the do not eat packet rolling around in there. That looks like a whole lot of dust with some freeze-dried veggies rolling around in there. Man, I hope this gets a lot more interesting than it looks right now. I mean, that just looks like a whole lot of beef bouillon powder in the bottom of a sack with a few peas rolling around in there. I really hope this gets more interesting. This does have a nice gusseted bottom, which will certainly assist in the rehydration process. And this thing is calling for 350 mils of water, and they do have a fill line here on the back, which is, well, pretty awesome. I love having a fill line. It takes the margin of error down for this goofball a whole lot when I can just kind of eyeball it from the side of the bag instead of trying to figure out exactly what 350 mils is. All right, let's fill this thing up and get it mixing. And that looks about right. We're up to the line. Now we're going to get this spoon and get to the smashing and the stirring. That is thick and goopy in there. Let's get that off the spoon. And, well, let's try to get it off the spoon. That shit is really powdery. I don't know. That's looking a whole lot healthier now. We're going to shake the shit out of it, kind of like it owes us money, to see if we can get maximum mixage on this beef goulash. We'll see if this Ziploc bag actually stands up to the test of being shaken around like a gorilla. So let's lightly burn ourselves while we shake the shit out of this. Ooh, some bitch. All right, okay. That's got to be shaken enough because honestly, that is hot as hell, and I'm trying to do my best to give this the absolute best chance to be a good meal. So we are going to leave this off to the side here to rehydrate while we're checking out this chocolate mousse, which obviously needs to be rehydrated as well. Some bitch. The other meal, the Ziploc was completely sealed. That one, not so much. We just shit all over the tray. And that actually smells very lightly of chocolate. It doesn't smell crazy like chocolate. Give you guys a look down inside of there. Just kind of looks like hot chocolate mix. That's okay though. We got a do not eat bumbling around in there. We got to fish out my chocolate powder finger. And let's check this out. This only needs 120 mils of water. I would certainly prefer this to be a cold item, so I'm going to use some room temperature water, which is probably about 70-ish degrees. And that's about it for the mousse. Now we get this mixed up, and I'm really hesitant to use that beef flavored spoon to mix that up, so we're just going to go with the old-fashioned shake it like it owes you money. That ought to be okay for the mousse, at least I hope so. And hopefully that powder just doesn't taste too bad if we don't get it all out of the bottom. I have a feeling this one not being like scalding hot and burning holes in my hands, I ought to be able to shake this one pretty good. All right, now we got ourselves some dessert making itself up over there. 300 calories of chocolate mousse, if you can eat it. Now we're going to check out this fruit and nut mix, or maybe it's just nuts. Maybe the translator can't even do Spanish, and that's a damn shame, Google. You really need to fix yourself. You got issues. So that looks like a fruit and nut mix. Such a cute little can. You might just have to live up here on the ration table. You can hang out for a while, buddy. You're pretty cool. So it looks like we have some peanuts, cashews, some big ass raisins, an almond or two floating around in there. Looks like we have some walnut hunks. Not my favorite nut, but that's okay. And that looks like to be about it. Almonds, cashews, peanuts, couple walnut hunks, and some big ass raisins. And since this is the exact same item with the exact same labeling, I'm just going to eat these. I'm going to save these for one of the ration item giveaways. That and this absolutely yummy, delectable lemon isotonic beverage, which I will be absolutely sure to include in the very first ration grab bag giveaway. Oh yeah, totally going to send out this lemon in addition to this cute little can of fruit and nuts. And let's get these biscuits out onto the tray. I have a feeling we're going to need the biscuits if that beef goulash turns out to be kind of soupy and watery, which, well, at the moment, it's kind of looking that way. I hope I am absolutely wrong. And these biscuits are being absolutely difficult, not wanting to come out of the bag. Get the hell out of there. And a biscuit pack, a number 2. I'm dying to see what this little fruit bar is all about. I think we might start nom-nomming on him while we're waiting on everything to hydrate, because that is a sticky, goopy fruit bar of what I hope is absolute yumminess. Check this thing out. Nice, shiny, sticky, kind of oily layer on the outside. Just a little gelatinous fruit bar. Listen to that slap. And even though I will probably forget about it, we'll take that gum and we'll just kind of chunk it down on the tray there. That's kind of a big-ass chiclet of gum, if I'm being fair. And while we're waiting for everything to hydrate, those guys, we are going to check out some of this isotonic lemon. Hopefully they changed the formula on this guy. Yes, way to go, Spain. They actually did change the formula on that. That is much more like a lemon Gatorade now than it is the oily, nasty, kind of like lemon-flavored mess it used to be. I'm actually really proud of them for doing that. That old isotonic beverage they had, maybe that is like a cultural thing, that greasy mouthfeel weird lemon flavor. That shit was not great. This is way better. Actually has a lot more sugar in it. I know that's probably bad for you. However, it certainly improves the flavor. It has no greasy mouthfeel. I mixed that up with a hell of a lot of water, probably about 400-ish mils of water, and it's still pretty potent. You could add some more water to that, and it would still be really flavorful, but I don't need to dilute it, which is what was really bothering me about the old style. This one's pretty epic. And when I said I was going to send out that lemon isotonic beverage, and I was kind of being funny about it, well, kind of funny, but I was really going to send it out to one of you guys. At least when I send it out to you now, you're going to get the newer lemon isotonic beverage, which is actually pretty decent. So moving on, let's check out this fruit and nut mix, which is pretty cool. Try to get a little happy family of everybody, get a couple of big ass raisins. Hey, there's a filbert. I missed the filbert on the first go around, just kind of hiding in there with the peanuts. We'll get a cashew. We'll get another raisin because I'm fucking starving. We'll get this big fat almond out of there. I know I'm missing somebody. There it is, Mr. Walnut. We'll get Mr. Walnut, and we'll throw a couple extra random peanuts on there just to get the complete flavor experience. Check those guys out right there. A little dried fruit and nut mix never hurt anybody. And although that is not the best fruit and nut mix I've ever had, it is certainly doable. There is a very light amount of salt on the nuts, and I mean just teeny tiny little bit of salt. But that's okay. It is enough salt to accentuate the flavor of the nuts. They don't taste, get that, accentuate the flavor of the nuts. Everybody loves it when you accentuate the flavor of the nuts. The sweetness of these big ass raisins that are in here really does balance well with that just teeny tiny little bit of salt they put in here. This is a really good nut mix. I think this certainly wouldn't offend anyone. If you like a lot of salt, you probably wouldn't be happy with it. But with a sweet and salty mix, this really works. Definitely decent quality nuts, excellent quality raisins. These are pretty badass. And there's an added bonus. If you're watching this video and you are either from Spain or currently live in Spain, you can say, hey buddy, you had Spain's nuts in your mouth. Even though that might be kind of juvenile, I'd totally laugh at it. What does that say about me? I don't know. Probably says I have a fucking sense of humor. That's what it really says, but it's okay. You can be mad if my sense of humor is too juvenile for you, or you can just be happy and giggle right along with me. So it's a little difficult to determine whether this is the new route that Spain is going to be going for all of its rations. I would say probably not. This ration is very likely for a severe weight restriction, or maybe in some of the mountainous regions where you need a freeze-dried ration to make it through that cold weather. This is definitely an interesting variant though. I kind of like and kind of don't like the fact that they outsourced to adventure food. Some of the Spanish mains are absolutely epic, but at least for me, I didn't have to deal with any seafood in this ration, which I was completely prepared for. When I grabbed this ration and I felt the fact When I grabbed this ration and I felt the fact that there were some canned items in there, I kind of felt like, man, that's probably going to be like a little can of squid or a little can of something unappetizing for this palate. I lucked out this time though, didn't get any seafood, got some hopefully awesome dessert and maybe a cool main, but we'll figure that out. In the meantime, we're going to get a bite of this bar because it is calling my name. Look at this whole thing, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. This is so awesome. I love fruit bars like this. Look at all that glycerin coating or just sugar juice, whatever the hell is on there. That thing looks amazing. I'm really hoping it lives up to my expectation of it having some epically awesome fruity flavor, and having some amino acids chucked in there is a really cool reason to eat this bar. Although I don't need a whole lot of reasons to eat like a chewy little gooey fruit bar, having some aminos in it is never a bad idea. Oh, hell yes. That is what I'm talking about. That bar absolutely amazing. That has a great flavor to it. I'm going to do my best to explain it to you. You wouldn't figure it'd be hard to explain something like a gooey fruit bar to you, but this is going to take just a tiny little bit of effort. The reason behind that is this is some kind of weird hybrid between like just one of those artificially flavored gel candies that you get and like a natural fruit paste, all kind of combined into one flavor. It has a heavy citrus background flavor, which is really nice. It also tastes like pears and peaches and apples all at the same time, smashed together and mixed up with that artificial fruit gel flavor. It's actually really amazing. To be honest with you, it's a very unique flavor. Maybe it's because I've never had one quite like this before, but this is an excellent ration item, and I really like this thing. It is packed full of vitamins. So let's get a little nibble of one of these salted biscuits. I know it's kind of a mundane item, but it never hurts to get a flavor profile of even a biscuit I've had many times before with this face. Maybe you've not had them. So this is a salted biscuit from Jamipsa. I tend to like the sweet ones better than the salty ones, but there's a nice cross section of this guy. These tend to have more of a dry cookie consistency rather than a cracker. That's okay though. I'm loving it. I'm going to get this in the face. And I honestly think it's the really kind of crappy wrapper that these biscuits are in that gives this ration such a short shelf life. This ration is only good until December of 2025, and it's probably because the packaging on those biscuits sucks the cock. But that biscuit is really yummy. You really don't taste the salt. This biscuit would be good with either savory or sweet items. That's very yummy. Dense in calories, lots of carbohydrates you're going to need if you're hiking around in a cold environment, and this seems to be a very calorie dense ration. I'm going to get another bite of that fruit bar and enjoy my face being happy, and we're going to give these guys just one more minute to rehydrate. A bite number 2 of that jiggly little yummy bastard. I gotta be honest with you, every once in a while you run across an item in a ration where you're like, hey, that was worth the entire cost of the ration, and quite honestly, this little bar was worth the entire cost of this ration. Honestly, that is an awesome ration item, and I'm super stoked that they made the lemon drink actually drinkable. So let's see what this powdered mess of goulash turned into. Hopefully there's something in there more than just like, I don't know. That looks kind of rough. Freeze-dried meals are definitely best left to the absolute professionals like Mountain House. I think they're the only ones that really do it absolutely 100% correctly. There is some good freeze-dried food out there. I'm not so sure about this. I could be completely wrong, but let's get this mess out onto the tray. That's messy. That is and I really did fill that up to the exact line. That does not look like goulash to me. That looks more like a creamy stew, kind of. Almost like a goulash chowder or something like that. There's still plenty in the bottom here, and I'm going to have to make a sincere mess out of myself to get it out of there. So just stick with me. I'll fast forward through this part, but just needless to say, there's a whole lot of shit stuck down in the gusset of this bag that I just have to try to get out of here. And that's about all she wrote for the goulash. And that's not looking great. I'll have to admit, it was super screaming hot. This powdery stuff is totally my fault. I did, however, fill this up to the fill line, and this was not nearly enough water to rehydrate this properly. So we're just going to kind of incorporate that powder in there, pretend like that never happened. Crunch on some crunchy peas, apparently, that didn't get any water. Poor peas. That is like no goulash I have ever seen. Normally, goulashes are tomato-based, as far as I know. I'm no goulash expert or anything, but that just looks like a big creamy mess. I'm hoping it's a great tasting creamy mess at the very least. Now let's check out this chocolate mousse action. Why I'm trying to put both of these items out onto the tray at the same time, knowing that I'm going to cross-contaminate some goulash mush into my chocolate mousse. I don't know, but we're going to do it anyway. Oh, that just poured right on out of there. Maybe I didn't give that enough time to set. That kind of sucks. But nobody said mousse had to be super thick, like stand your spoon up in it or anything. So let's just get all that chocolate mousse out of there. Yep, we're definitely getting some goulash in the mousse, or vice versa. That's just going to happen. I'm just going to have to get over it. So first things first, let me try to clear the powder off of my spoon, because this certainly did not rehydrate very well. Now, I am kind of a goober, so maybe that's my fault, but I did give it a decent stir, and I shook the shit out of it, so maybe their fill line is just in the wrong place, and this really needed some more water. That's what I'm going with anyway. It's totally the fact they had the fill line in the wrong place. This absolutely doesn't fall on me and my lack of professionalism. I just don't know what else to say, but let's give you guys a look at that goopy goulash, because that's pretty much what it is. It's definitely goopy. It's more like a stew, and I can't even say I'm upset about it. Let's get some in the face. That's pretty crazy. That's actually really good. Even though it's not completely hydrated, it actually has a really good flavor. I just got like a red pepper and a pea that were only partially hydrated, and I really didn't care because they actually had a really good flavor to them. That was pretty awesome. Let me do that again. Fortunately, this is seasoned really well because as you can see, you don't get any salt and pepper with this ration. This could definitely use a little bit of salt and pepper. I imagine being a freeze-dried item, it has a pretty high salt content anyway. There's a little bit of a granular texture to this like kind of soupy, chowdery sauce that everything is just kind of swimming in. We've definitely got some veggies and maybe some meat in there. I haven't really run across anything I could definitely identify as beef. But this stuff, well, it's really not that bad. So let's see if we can get some identification going on. We definitely have some freeze-dried peas in there. We have some decent-sized hunks of red pepper, which is really nice. I did get a beef hunk. There we go. There's a nice little hunk of what looks like beef, but that is a big old piece of mushroom in there. Not too shabby. Let me see if I can find some of that beef. I know I just got a bite of beef, which was actually not bad. A little bit on the kind of chewy side, didn't hydrate very well. I'm going to take some responsibility for that. It's completely okay. Let's dig around. Here we go. Here we go. So all of the beef that is in this are these itty bitty teeny tiny pieces that are right on the end of the spoon. Kind of like a really teeny tiny freeze-dried ground beef ball. Not too bad though. Doesn't have a bad flavor. Very savory. Really could use some salt if I'm being honest. Otherwise, this is oddly satisfying. Like a really super thick, maybe a little grainy beef chowder? Like question mark? It's kind of like beef chowder. It's nothing like any goulash I've ever had. That was a potato. That wasn't too bad. Didn't see that coming. The one thing that's really excellent about this dish is every one of the vegetables that you bite into has its own individual flavor. The taste of red peppers in this goulash is absolutely amazing. That's actually my favorite flavor in this thing, is just that really concentrated, like sweet red pepper flavor. Absolutely amazing. And there will definitely be a next time, because I have a couple more of these on the way. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a different menu. Next time I have one of these, I'll certainly add additional water, stir the hell out of it to try to incorporate all the powder into the mix. But I'm not at all unhappy with this. This is actually pretty yummy. A little bit weird. Maybe not as satisfying as, well, a freeze-dried meal really should be. But all things considered, one thing they certainly got right in this was flavor. The flavor of the vegetables is absolutely amazing. And you know we got to get these biscuits involved. Those biscuits will be a perfect vessel to add a little bit of texture to this. And let's try some of that big old mess on a biscuit hunk. Oh, these biscuits were absolutely, completely, 100% meant to scoop up this mess. The taste of that biscuit, along with the very strong and prevalent vegetable flavors inside of this, what they're calling goulash, it's actually pretty damn amazing, and it really adds a bit of texture that this dish really needs. It's almost like having a crunchy dumpling. This really thick consistency in this is certainly hitting the spot. I'm almost at the point where I could just kind of quit eating right now and probably not be hungry for a couple of hours. And the only thing they're really missing for a cold climate ration is something hot to drink. Like, give a guy some coffee. Spain has some pretty excellent coffee. I'm really surprised they didn't put any in this ration, especially if this is intended for cold weather. They really missed the boat on putting a hot drink in here. I love the Jimipsa biscuits, especially when you have something good to put on them. And this goulash is certainly something good to stack up on a biscuit. And this is really cool. That main is really filling. Nuts are always a great addition to a ration. They take a long time for your body to break down, so it keeps you from being hungry a whole lot longer. If you're in a cold weather environment, this meal is probably going to feel like you ate nothing. Your body's going to be starving for calories. This would definitely be a great cold weather option. I am not, however, in a cold weather environment, nor am I climbing around in the mountains, so this ration is filling me up really fast. And it's not just because I'm a ration nerd and really like rations. This is a pretty happy belly kind of experience. It's certainly not gourmet. It's not the best ration food I've ever had, but it's warm, wholesome, thick, and kind of yummy. Could use some salt and pepper, but otherwise, this is a pretty solid dinner option. I mean, certainly going to fill that belly up. The vegetables are absolutely amazing tasting. It's really not that bad, all things considered. It's not Mountain House, but it'll certainly do. I will certainly tell you that as this loses temperature, it gets less and less appetizing. So if you wind up with one of these freeze-dried Spanish mains or this particular menu, just know that once you hydrate this thing, eat it as fast as you possibly can, simply because as it gets cold, kind of starts to taste a little weird, and that grainy texture of the chowder style sauce that's in here, for whatever reason or the other, it gets even more pronounced. So definitely consume while hot. And that was very interesting. My belly is very full from that. That was a pretty decent sized main. 600 calories is certainly nothing to shake your head at. And for a freeze-dried main, this was definitely pretty interesting. Definitely very filling. But we are going to move on to this chocolate mousse action. And that doesn't appear to have really thickened up much. I was hoping that it would thicken up just a little bit. Jiggle, jiggle. Jiggle, jiggle that chocolate sauce. It's not really supposed to be chocolate sauce. It's supposed to be chocolate mousse. But let's bring that up to your little dirty little eyeballs so you can check out that chocolate soup I made. So let's get some of this in the face and see what's what. That has an odd flavor. It has a really nice background chocolate flavor. It does have some chocolate chips rolling around in the bottom, which is really nice. It just has a little bit of an artificial flavor to it, whether that's from the freeze drying process or just the whatever additives are in here, maybe preservatives, gives it a bit of an artificial flavor. Let me throw that in the face again, see if I can determine what's throwing this chocolate flavor off. There's some little dark chocolate flakes in here that are extremely yummy, but this particular mousse itself just has a background artificial flavor to it that you just can't shake. The initial flavor is just like a soft chocolate, then it hits you with this like weird artificial flavor that's kind of hard to explain. It's almost plasticky in its taste. Like if you've ever like accidentally chewed up a piece of plastic or had something that sat in the sun for too long and had the plastic stuck to it. I don't know, some shit like that. It certainly has a very plastic flavor to it, which is a little bit off-putting. But then you get to those little dark chocolate shavings that are in the bottom. It's almost worth sitting through this plastic flavor just to get to that little yummy little shaving of dark chocolate. Let's see if we can kind of rescue some of that flavor out of there by just making an absolute mess out of it. We'll throw the remainder of our nut mix in there, see if we can hide that plastic flavor, and we'll even throw some biscuit hunks in there just to add some texture, maybe help cut some of that weird artificial flavor in there. That looks like a hot mess. Let's give it a try. Let's get a little hunk of biscuit. Let's get some nuts and a raisin in there. That's definitely kind of looks like diarrhea, but it also looks kind of attractive at the same time. That's really strange, and I'm not quite sure how to feel about myself right now. And that's just what the doctor ordered for that weird flavor, is to throw something else in there to kind of throw your taste buds off, like a peanut or a hunk of biscuit. Kind of washes out that weird artificial flavor. So that's certainly a win. And that mousse, even though I finished it, well, I paid for it, so I was going to eat it. But quite honestly, that mousse wasn't that great. Definitely could have replaced that with something else. That main, though, oddly enough, as weird and grainy as that was, I'm pretty happy about the main. Not really happy about the dessert, but this was a hell of a lot of fun kind of spoon drop. That's what we're going with. And we are going to commence to checking out this gum right after I get the random cracker dust off my hands. We're going to check out this big-ass chiclet of Spanish gum, see what that's all about. Wow, that's minty. That is holy shit minty. It has a really nice crunchy candy coating on the outside. There's lots of gum inside of that chiclet. It is a really strong peppermint flavor that definitely kicks you in the face. Will help to clean up your dirty stink hole so you're not talking to your fellow soldier and just breathing your stank all over them. That's never any good. And while we're at it, in case you haven't seen a Spanish ration review before, we're going to check out this most excellent 10 slices of Spanish toilet paper. Now, this isn't the biggest toilet paper on the planet, so if you have a dirty butt, you might have to be a little artful about the way you wipe that ass, but these are definitely decent quality butt wipes. I would certainly stack quite a few of them together. Maybe this is just one butt wipe for me, depends on what I ate that day, but if you took about half of the pack, you can see these are nice, strong butt wipes right there. And we've already explained about the face and the nose and the butt. You know what you can do with these things. But we've got some TP. TP is never bad. And speaking of dirty dick beaters, let's try to clean ours up a little bit, because we did get some random splooge on us throughout this ration with some nice alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Let's give that a little sniff. And you know, as far as alcohol-based hand sanitizers go, that doesn't have the worst smell when you put it up to your face. Sometimes, like, you put that up to your face and it just takes your breath away. It actually has a little bit of a perfumey smell, but not overbearingly so. This isn't bad. It's almost like a gel. Leaves your hands ever so slightly tacky. It works, though. It cleans them up, and it does evaporate really fast. Once it evaporates, that sticky sensation goes away, which is actually really nice. And we're going to taste one of these water purification tablets to see what that... No, we're not. That's for water purification. We're not doing that. Well, guys, This was dinner. This was a hell of a lot of fun, and it was even more fun because you decided to come along with me. I really appreciate that. So thank you guys for joining me here on Ration Nerd. We were checking out a new Spanish ration. This is a Spanish Armed Forces dinner menu number 2. This was a hell of a lot of fun. This is either the newest iteration of the Spanish ration, or this is a cold climate ration. If you know better than I do, feel free to leave me a comment in the comments and let me know. I would greatly appreciate that. But you know me, I'm kind of a nerd about this stuff. Am I going to wait until I have absolute confirmation about what this ration's intended purpose is? Absolutely not. I'm going to eat it, I'm going to get it out on the table, and we're going to talk about it. Quite honestly, if there's details I'm missing, I'll figure that shit out later, because if I were to wait until I had every last detail of every ration I was ever going to eat or do on this channel, it would take absolutely forever to accumulate all the information necessary. Sources on foreign rations inside of the United States aren't always that great, not super informative, and the information's not always fucking available, so I'm just going to eat these things, have a great time with them. You came along with me for the ride, that means a lot to me, so if you would like to continue to support me, you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, talk to me in the chat as always, and there's always Patreon. For $5 a month, you can have a chance to win this fucking ration right here, which would be pretty awesome because this is still in date. It's a great ration. Did I say this once already? Oh, my bad. But you get the point. I am trying to make it worth your while to join me on Patreon and help support me doing this goofy hobby. But all that aside, this is that magical time in the video where I'd say, if you can find something cooler than this Spanish Armed Forces dinner menu number 2 freeze-dried ration to put in your stanky face hole, you know absolutely what you should be getting about to doing. Eat 'em up.
My man said that looked like diarrhea, and he kind of liked it. I'm not really sure what he be thinking. I think maybe he got something wrong with his head. Some more people sending some emails said, "Man, you got something wrong with your head," and he'd be like, "Nah," but I be thinking, man, that dude must have something wrong with his head, because like, man, that guy's got some shit wrong. Talking about food and diarrhea in the same sense. Like, I don't even know what this guy's thinking. Like, he got shit wrong. He got shit wrong with his head. He needs to get checked out. That's all I'm saying. It's like, maybe just get a little checked out. You know, talk to somebody. Like, maybe need some counseling.